Here we go. Hi, welcome to Control Talk Now, your smart buildings videocast and podcast for the week ending November 1st, 2020. This is episode 382, where we talk about HVAC controls, smart building controls. We are going to talk about Halloween and what the man, the myth, the legend, your controls man and mine, Kenny Smyers from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, what he did for Thanksgiving last night, and how he is going to coach his Pittsburgh Steelers against Pat Marcella's Baltimore Ravens. Kenny, rumor has it you're going to be punting for the Steelers this week. They filling in for Big Ben. Any truth to that rumor, my man?
No, that rumor is entirely false. Colquitt, our punter from 2 weeks ago, was let go, and we got another punter in that came back, number 4. I can't even think of his name, but
So is this, since you're not going to be playing, is this just disinformation? Because Pat Marcella tells me that Baltimore has to prepare for you because you might come in for Big Ben. You're a triple threat. You can run, you can pass. If it's intercepted, you play safety. So probably not going to get a pick six on you. You can punt, you can kick, and you can coach. So you think maybe this is just some disinformation Pittsburgh sending over to Baltimore?
I think that they need to evaluate the source of that information. But I will tell you this, and this is going to be probably the best game of the season. Because I think Pittsburgh needs to prove to the world and itself that it does have a really good defense, and it really does have the ability to score a touchdown each quarter and score 28 to 31 points, because that's what's going to take to beat Baltimore. Baltimore, in my opinion, has probably the most solid team. I think they're a notch up. Even though they lost to Kansas City, I think they're still a better team. And those are the 4 or 5 teams that are surfacing. That you got Seattle out there that's really tough. Green Bay rebounded. Baltimore certainly, contenders. Pittsburgh's playing, as well as it can play. And then of course you got Kansas City, who's the incumbent champion. So I think that's for right now. That's going to be home the game.
Ladies and gentlemen, you need to listen to Kenny Smyers if you want some betting suggestions. Ask Kenny because he comes from a football family. The Smyers family, his older brother Tommy, Dave, Jesse. Bart, the whole group of them. There was a time where the Smyers brothers could beat most professional football teams. They got a little bit older, and it was college teams. Then it was high school teams. And right now, I understand you guys are competing for the Smyers brothers are competing for the 7th grade championship in the greater Pittsburgh area. How do you guys think you'll do against those 7th grade all-stars?
Well, now that it's flag football and they have to run on one leg, we're doing pretty good. We feel pretty optimistic about this week's game.
Nice. Well, Kenny, man, we got to get some laughs in because it's been pretty somber here. Our good friend Jim Young, Howard Berger, Lisa Young, man, big conference last week. Big hats off to those guys. You had a chance to be part of a big part of it. Tell our audience a little bit about it, and then hopefully there'll be some videos coming out where people can catch up on that.
Well, yeah, it successfully concluded. It was the probably the most adventurous event of 2020 because everybody else closed down. Nobody else went forth with their shows. And AHR officially closed 2021 down, and Chicago. It's not going to happen. They're deferring all their attentions and energies to 2022 in Las Vegas. But yeah, the Realcomm IBCon, it was a success that we're still trying to evaluate because we don't get the statistics of how many people were there and actually participated. But I know there was a lot because I was on like you said, having the opportunity to work with Howard Berger and Jim Young and Lisa Woods to provide some information. And originally I think Control Trends, we were going to go out there, and then we realized that there wasn't a place because they shut down the showcase. So they transitioned after the second day into the live portion where the people that were there participated in many breakouts, and they had very interesting. It was like a television programming show. They had everything set up with the cameras, and they did a lot of really artsy and filming of from different angles, and the viewpoints were just like it was on TV. It was like 60 minutes. It was kind of cool. Lisa Wood did a great job, and so did Howard Berger, and they were out front on the Realcomm Live, and they had all the screens behind them. So they had the heavy duty Hollywood production style of the the Realcomm IBCon show. So in many ways, it was a very well done. We wondered the efficacy of it, but the numbers at a glance: there was 1,546 participants. There were 227 speakers. There were 140 tech solution providers, 99 learning sessions, 35 Realcomm live interviews, 5 COVID tech partner on site, and 4 days of networking and learning. So Realcomm IBCon CEO Jim Young and managing partners Nancy Stone, Howard Berger, Lisa Woods share conference highlights and top takeaways from the virtual in-person experience, the virtual and in-person experience held at the Gaylord Rockies in Canada, and is a watch Realcomm live. And I think if we can get that in a YouTube version, we'll go ahead and post that on our this week's Control Talk Now.
Absolutely. And it was not Canada, it was Colorado. I think you might have said Canada by mistake.
Oh, did I? Yeah.
Well, because it's the first of the month, we normally talk to Ken Sinclair today. So of course we're thinking about Canada, right? So, yeah, but again, congratulations to those guys. Jim is such a pioneer, hats off to them. A lot of people would have just mailed it in and said, we'll wait till 2022. And Jim and Howard, got out there. Were there any, probably not a good time to talk about, but was there any key takeaway that you got from that, or should we just save that for another time?
No, it's just I think what it is that they sponsored a lot of technologies there that can be used at the show, and then maybe even be incorporated into the Gaylord Rockies facility. But certainly gave a preview to some of the instrumentations out there. There was one in particular that you stand in front of or it's inside of a computer. It's inside of like a console, like a walkthrough area where it's doing your temperature, your blood pressure, your oxygenation. I mean, all these physical evaluations are being done by this machine in a matter of seconds, and it can tell you what your relative health is, and if you should be in fact allowed inside of an area where you're worried about COVID-19. So if you have a high temperature, it would flag you. If you had this, it would flag you. Maybe in your own, your blood pressure or whatever it was taking. I don't see how it took the blood pressure, but it had like 5 bio readings, and it was pretty amazing. So they featured that at that show, and there's a couple of neat things that they did that. But I think what it was just a can-do attitude. Jim Young really believed that you can't give up on hardship. You got to fight your way through it and find solutions, and just see how talented we are and how much innovation we have, how much technology we have that can offset the challenges that these new biohazards and COVID-19 being COVID-19 is going to go past. It's going to be. I'm not going to say it's going to go away easily, but it's going to be superseded by another potential thing.
Well, no, I think you're right. And I want to just go right back to, Jim Howard and Lisa, and again, say congratulations. As soon as we get some highlight videos, we will put those up on Control Trends. But when you talk about, that biometric thing that came in, I think part of what we're going to look at COVID-19 as being is sort of the catalyst to let go of the old and adopt the new, okay? Because we're seeing that. I mean, we saw this, the conference, how they did it, the technology they used. But, for example, Kenny, one of the stocks that I follow is a thing called Teladoc. And Teladoc, the corporations are using that now. And essentially it is remote doctors doing all kinds of stuff, remote assessments and so on. And I guess they got the hardware that allows them to get your vital signs and all that and so on and so forth. Okay. So what's happening with that, a lot of the corporations are adopting that, and a lot of the insurance companies are encouraging it because it drives the cost down for a doctor's visit, right? Because they can see so many more people. And for most of the stuff, they don't need an office visit. So it's driving the cost of healthcare down at the same time it's a new technology. And I mean, think about it. I don't know about you, but I used to love to go to have like a 9 o'clock appointment and wait till noon to get in to see the doctor. But, those days are kind of gone. So this sort of eliminates that. So there's efficiencies, I believe, that are going to come out of this, Kenny. And I think we're seeing it. I think, what Jim and Howard and Lisa did is an example. I think we'll always have the in-person type stuff. But when you look at what that can do to drive the cost of health insurance down, something like Teladoc is pretty darn impressive.
Yeah. I've already initiated that with the medical people that I see now. You do a lot of it in preview, and they do video assessments. So last procedure I had did it all online. We had the interview with the doctor right now. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I think we're going to see that because it's efficient. And I think, and when I say COVID was the catalyst, a lot of these investments people have made from like working from home and the cybersecurity things that go along with it, the equipment that goes along with that, probably never would have been made or not at the rate they have been if it hadn't been for COVID-19. And then I think a lot of it is, a lot of this stuff is just, you're not going to go back, right? You're just, some of it you'll go back to, but a lot of it you won't. There's another one we were talking about, and we probably ought to call this the bypass episode, because we're seeing so many great technology in our industries, which we've been talking about for a while, the different companies and so on and so forth, everything from EasyIO to Distech to, the majors and all the way they're innovating. And it's like innovate or die, right? So here's one that we were talking about it before the show, that I never in a million years would have thought you would bypass this particular industry, but there's a stock called Lemonade. And Lemonade it uses algorithms. It's an insurance thing. You can buy everything from auto insurance to health insurance to renter's insurance to pet insurance and so on and so forth. You buy it online. And at first you and I were going, this just doesn't make sense. So my daughter needed to buy some auto insurance. I asked her, I said, why don't you use Lemonade for it to check it out? She goes, oh, I use Lemonade all the time. It's great. So that got me curious. So, you go on the app and it's so seamless, and you're able to get a quote almost instantaneously. And now if you read about it, you would think, well, this is going to be, kind of hard because, I want to talk to somebody having, there's an issue or something. What am I going to do? Well, they got the highest rating of paying claims off. And I think what's happening is they've eliminated so much of that middle layer that it's kind of like we had the warranties where you have to send the stuff back to get the warranty. They'd check it out, and then the manufacturers go, well, that just costs too much money. If you think it's bad, we'll send you another one, right? And it's interesting because they're not targeting guys like me and you. They're targeting people in their 20s and 30s and 40s. So it's kind of like the other thing about innovation is they're not shooting for the people that are locked into their ways. They're shooting for where the market's going to go. So, I bring that up because, again, I don't think there's any industry that's safe from innovation, and I think you better be paying attention. And when you read the reports on this company, and Teladoc too, its number one word is disruptive. They're disrupting an industry that we didn't think could be disrupted. So,
well, blockchain and Bitcoin. I think you also mentioned about the currencies. We're at the tipping point or transition point or whatever you want to call it, inflection point. We're going to see a lot of changes, and COVID-19 will be probably take the credit for it. I mean, a lot of these things were already like remote, work from home and all these other things were already pretty well embedded in a lot of the corporate culture, but it didn't really take, massive effect until it was provoked by COVID-19. So I think you're right. I think this touchless world, the 10 St. Clair used to talk about, everything's going to go into audio. So you talk about audio stocks and audio and AI in conjunction with voice activation and voice commands is going to have to do it, because pretty soon you're not going to want to touch things. You're not going to want to put your hands on railings anymore. I remember one of the first things that caught my attention as far as, how do you prove this stuff and what does it mean, was they would tell you that the guardrail or the handrail that you were using to walk down into a stadium or into the subway was dirtier than a toilet seat. There was more germs and bacteria on that guardrail, and people every day using that for their balance and support to go up and down these steps were basically taking other people's viruses and bacteria and putting it in their eyes and their face because they're using their hands. And, we ignored that. As a society, I think as a rule, we ignored it. Now, you've got these incredible UV, purifications and sanitation equipment that can go up and down. You got robots going through, the trains and the buses and whatever, and they're killing all the surface virus and whatever that it wasn't important until COVID came in, and now it's important. So I think
I think you bring up a great point. Here's my question, because, I think, we never think about the unintended consequences, because if we did, we wouldn't do stuff. And I'm not saying this is going to be an unintended consequence, but what is that going to do to our immune systems long term? Because again, we were touching those rails, and our bodies were being exposed to these germs and viruses. But at the same time, our immune systems were then building up defenses for that, which made our immune system stronger. If we get in a completely sterile world, what's that going to do for our health 10, 15 years from now?
It's over my pay grade. I don't know, but you're right. Because it's an evolving process. There's only, going back to this Realcom Live, there's a video and it is on YouTube, so we can post it, I believe. Unless it says
perfect. Let's
not allowed. But the, I think the point you were saying was that the changes are coming on more radically in the disruption of it into insurance. I mean, so we've seen some disruption, and of course the BAS world, distribution world, contracting world, building space world, but now we're going to see it in currencies, we're going to see it in insurance, we're going to see it in medical, the delivery of medical services. So yeah, I mean, you can see investments, and people are going to make much larger investments in their residents, the houses, the housing market's being, you put something on the street here for sale, it's sold in 2-3 days now, or even a day, and they're getting the asking price across the boards. And it's because now we're reset how we're going to live a day in the life is going to change, where you're going to spend 90% of the time inside of a building, but it's going to be your house instead of an office building or a retail center or something. So you're going to make that a more pleasant environment. You're going to upgrade all your equipment. You're going to get better, better cameras.
So let me ask you a question, okay? And our audience, just ignore this part, okay? So where did Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid go in South America? Was it Bolivia?
Sounds right.
So man, you and I go to Bolivia, man. Let's get a hideout down there. We'll get an internet connection, and we will just mysteriously disappear from the mainstream. Because why not? Because we can work from anywhere, right?
Well, remember the 4-hour work week? What was his name?
Tim Ferriss.
Yeah, Ken Ferriss. And I remember reading that book and how he bragged and proved you didn't need to be physically anywhere, and you could have a very low cost private personal assistant.
Right about that. He was really right about that. I mean, talk about coming. And one of the principles he had was not only just the freedom to travel, but he talked about this thing, and it was an arbitrage. And arbitrage means, exchange one thing for something else. So, for example, he would show how you can make tons of money just by like working 6 months in the United States, and then going and living in India or South America or some other place where the cost of living, going to live like a king for 6 months. And my wife Anna lived in India for a while, and she said there were people that did that. They would just work in the States or Canada or whatever as a waiter or whatever for 3 or 4 months a year, save their money, and then they would just go live like kings for 6 or 7 months, and then come back and do the same thing again. So
Europeans do that down in Turkey, yeah. In some places, in Portugal, advertises that I saw an advertisement here recently where it said that you could take the average Social Security payment or something that Americans get, and if you took it over to Portugal in a certain area, a certain community, you could live in that community like a king, like you were saying, because they have all these fixed costs, and the dollar in Portugal is just incredibly strong, and you can get a lot more for it. And but I think that would be a lot of fun. I think you've made some trips to some really exotic places recently, weren't you? Down in Panama and whatever. I mean,
I can't talk about that.
But let's say hypothetically that you can neither confirm nor deny that you were in
I went to a place called.
But were you happy there, and did you trust it? Is what I meant.
Oh,
did you
no,
feel?
Panama is kind of great because everything's U.S. dollar and it's U.S. currency, meaning the electric is U.S. And the place we went was a place called Bruschetta, which is, it's kind of in the middle of the mountains, and it's an hour from the beach there. But there are tons more American expats there, more Italian expats there, because they had a work thing with Spain and Italy where they could come over and work. So you got, a population of maybe 200,000 people, and you got, 20,000 incredible 5-star restaurants. It was great. So, you could do
that's
that.
neat. Yeah.
Yeah. But hey, listen, speaking of innovation, Kenny, and really cool people, let's bring our next guest on, because I tell you what, these folks, woo. They are all over the innovation and all over the coolness. How about introducing them?
We do, Eric. We have two exceptional people from Distech Controls out of Montreal. We have Joel Desiree, and we have Laura Jane Mijanek. Laura's the marketing specialist at Distech, and Joel is our Connected Building Solution Manager. Welcome to the show.
Welcome, guys. It's so glad
thanks for having us.
We love having you guys here. And Laura, we're going to start with you because Distech, in addition to making fantastic products, you guys just do such a great job with marketing. I mean, we're very familiar with Laura and Scott, with you and the work you guys do. So right off the bat, anything you want to say to the community from Distech? Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Well, I would say first and foremost, thank you so much for, having us. And it's a pleasure actually working at the marketing team for Distech Controls. And it's always great to see how our community does engage with us in terms of social media first, but also during our different webinars we have running. So yes, I think these are very important for us, and we always try to come up with new ways to interact with everyone. So yeah.
You guys do a great job with that. Well, listen, first of all, you got to follow Distech on Instagram. I do, and you guys do really great, entertaining, informative posts. And you guys have really taken this opportunity to train the community on a bunch of stuff, which we'll get into a little bit later in the conversation. So again, you just want to say congratulations and thanks for the great job you guys do with the marketing side of it.
Thank you.
Well, you know what, Eric, we have a very fortunate opportunity. Joelle is actually at the Realcomm IBCon event in Denver, Colorado. It just had 20 inches of snow, and I think it's about 8 or 10 degrees Fahrenheit. Joelle, tell us what's going on out there, and let's dig into some of the neat stuff with Distech. But just give us an overview. What's your take so far on the Realcomm IBCon?
Yeah, so we use this iBeacon show to really emphasize what we have done on the last 6 months. And so, first of all, it's all about our healthy and trustworthy initiative that we put in place. And the goal is really, I will say, how can we ensure that occupants of building will cross the door, having that they will be safe and they don't have any risk. So for that, we develop as a team. So it's a big team effort with Laura Jane, marketing, product management, R&D. So we took an holistic view to provide all the different, I will say, techniques and technologies that allows, I will say, to ensure health and safety to building occupants. So which means we cover a proactive measure to reduce the risk of contagions, including, so, enhance indoor air quality. So how to increase the ventilation rate, how to keep the right level of humidity, how to increase air rate renewal, HEPA filter, and how you can kill bacteria, inactivate viruses using a UV lamp into the pipe.
Well, this is all good stuff. And you know what's really important? You said something, you hit the nail on the head before the show, is that, you got to give people confidence that they're coming into an environment that's safe. So tell us about how Distech gives that interface to that occupant that they can see in a very quick glance where things are at.
Yes, that's key. So in fact, infection control, so we call it infection control in general, is very important. So for that, of course, we have our contactless comfort management, which include our Eclipse ecosystem, which is basically all the sensors that you can put into the room that can be controlled using our MyPersonify application.
Right.
And you know that everybody has a smartphone right now, and you trust your smartphone. You don't trust what is on the wall for sure, because you don't know which touch that, but this is your smartphone. You never lose it because you have your life inside, so you can trust it. And with the Eclipse ecosystem, really, what we can do is we empower any occupant to take care of their comfort from their own device in a very easy way.
Very cool. Well, because it seems like for all the real estate owners, and you guys can answer this too, but it seems like what we're hearing is the big question is, how do we get people back in the building? Like, you guys were saying, or how do they feel safe? What has sort of been the response from the owners in the marketplace? Because you guys seem to be answering and providing a solution to the question they want to answer. What's the response been like?
Yeah, so one very important thing for that is really, so we have developed with our professional team, so DigiLogics, we have developed what we call a healthy dashboard, which is a very synthetic view where, as an occupant, you can have on your phone, you can have at the lobby, on a big screen or on a kiosk, where you can have a simple view to say this building is safe, the ventilation is working, the disinfection has been done, don't enter into this room because they are currently in a cleaning mode. So it's a way, and we are doing that for an office building, we are doing that for a kinder school, K-12. So it's a way when you are a parent, for example, and you want to let your child, it's very important to know that you let them into a good place. And so they did a very good job, because it's something very easy to see, very nice, easy to customize too. And so at a glance, you know if it's safe to cross the door.
Well, not only do you guys have the product, but you guys have also made a concerted effort during this COVID period to, first of all, I think, gather the facts, figure out what was needed, but then you've really made an effort to educate the entire community on these steps to take, right? So, I mean, you guys, that's still an ongoing proposition for you guys, isn't it?
Yes, yes, exactly. So we try to cover all the technique, not only the ones that we can provide, but more really it's an effort of education of the community that we want to do. And so for that, we did a white paper that you can download from our website. And so Laura Jane is making an amazing job by making different live events with different experts to go more in depth into the different subjects that we are covering.
And by the way, just to add to that, Eric and Ken, I would be so delighted to have you on one of our LinkedIn Live whenever you want.
Sure.
We'd love it. Absolutely.
Well, listen, I cherry picked. I'm on your website right now, and I actually opened up one of the brochures that Laura Jane has done, I believe. It's the K through 12 schools, connected building solutions. So I think it really is, just to reiterate what you said, that Distech provides a lot of good, wholesome, ASHRAE-driven, suggestions on how to, do what you said. Have the parents feel confident that the kids can return to a building that's been looked after and taken care of. And it's very important, I think, like you said, the filtration, dilution, ventilation, indoor air quality, but also documentation.
That's
so
correct.
You guys have a wonderful archival system.
Okay, guys. So, in the United States, our lawyers get very litigious about anything. And it seems like one of the things you guys are providing is also the documentation, right? That the building owner, if he uses your system and uses your portals, will have documentation to show that they did everything that they could possibly do to maintain the humidity levels and make the building safe. Is that a fair statement? And if so, how do you guys do that?
Yeah, it's totally. So in fact, of course, you can keep log of everything that happened into a building, which means that in case of any kinds of event, you can get this log. And I have a good example of that. As you probably know, we have some beacon in our offer. And let's imagine this use case that unfortunately may happen. So you have a healthy building, an office building, and unfortunately, after 10 days, one employee has tested positive to COVID. So what we can do is we can trace to which other employee this employee has been in contact. And of course, respecting the privacy, human resources, if they want, can contact the different people to say, we recommend you to be tested because you have been in contact with somebody that has been tested. So of course, we respect the privacy. So it's only at the phone level. It's not available for everybody. Everything is, the record are destroyed after 15 days. But nevertheless, it's this kind of things, I think, that makes property owner and even employers more peace-minded.
Absolutely. You see what is happening, and what I was getting at is that now, to your point, that traceability is becoming a requirement. If you have an event like a wedding, reception, any kind of a celebration in a public building here, where we live in Pennsylvania, you have to be able to provide the list of the attendees. So in the event something did happen, they would be notified exactly as you said, that they were in the proximity of somebody that tested positive to COVID-19. It's highly recommended that they become tested. So yeah, I think the Eclipse and my personal experience, with your product is that this is what people need to hear. They need to hear that they've got a great system, but in addition to the great control of energy and comfort, there's also those important, things that when it pops up, you have it. I like how you changed it from COVID-19 to infection control. So that way you're not dated with anything, because we've heard some pushback where people, they say, what are we going to do after we put all these cameras in and thermal imaging, we've made all this investment in COVID-19 and it's gone. Well, guess what? It's never going to be gone ever again. I think we're going to see infection control, bioenvironment control. We're going to see different, nomenclature to describe basically the provisions we took during COVID-19.
Yeah, well, and And talking about control, you know, you guys, I even hate to call it a thermostat, but talk about the Eclipse Superstat or whatever. You guys just sort of redesigned that. Tell
Yes.
me about that and what you can get from that now.
Yeah, so we just announced the new Eclipse Thermostat, which is basically a controller and a thermostat. So in this little tiny and very nice box, you have everything from Eclipse, which means that you have the RESTful API, you have the connectivity to the cloud, you have the ability to embed graphics inside it. And on the other side, from the occupant, it's a very nice looking thermostat that can provide all the UI regarding room temperature setting, lighting, of course, blind. You can have access to the programmation of the room, and so on and so forth. So it's a new addition, and we are very proud of it because it's really a good complement of the offer that we have today.
You know, before we get too far along, you were really excited about the developers portal that Distech now has, and the successful experiences you're having with us. Tell us a little bit about that portal.
Yes, so that's amazing. So as you know, at Distech, part of our DNA is openness. We don't want to lock our customer, but we want our customer that they come to us because they love our product. And so this is why we don't lock anything. We use only open standard, and we think that is the right way to go. So for that, what we did this year is really, I would say, to open everything and to document everything. So now if you go under developers.distech-control.com, you will find a new web page where you have 4 tiles. So in these tiles, what you will be able to see is, so the first one is about the Eclipse Sky Ecosystem SDK, which means that if you don't like our My Personify app, you can design yours. So we are providing all the API. It's totally free of charge. There is nothing about that. So you can develop whatever you like using Bluetooth technology and communicate with our equipment. So this is one tile. The second tile is about the RESTful API. So as you know, we have been very successful with that. So now we move into something which is much more IT. So in the coming weeks, we will provide a wiki. So I don't know if you're familiar with wikis. The big advantage of a wiki.
Oh yeah.
All the community is able to comment article, to change article, to enhance that. So, and we will provide for everything example for Postman and Node-RED. So you can just drag and drop, cut and paste into your Eclipse, and it will work automatically. And the last but not least, now all our controllers, Eclipse controller, including the thermostat, have what we call cloud connectivity using the Microsoft IoT Hub, which means that you can connect any Eclipse controller into a Microsoft Azure cloud and be able to push data on the IoT Hub or to exchange data between the cloud and the controller. And everything is free. And we are providing example of all of that. So you can program the controller from the cloud using RESTful API. And after, you will be able to push data. So you were talking about traceability. It will be able to push data into a data lake located into Azure without any programmation.
Wow, that's good. Very good.
Well, no, it's great. And Laura Jane, I want to come back to you a minute because what you guys, and I'm assuming this is conscious, but you know what, my experience at Distech is you guys have taken it beyond the product. I mean, just, this portal, this cloud, you've created a community. You guys, from a business perspective, have created great marketing awareness, which, really helps your partners out. But is that a conscious effort? You guys are trying to just create this incredible community? And if so, how did you do it? And what's next?
Actually, I'm not sure it's consciousness, but it's just at Distech, we do believe that we're just one big family, and we're all here to make sure that buildings are getting more connected to the occupants. And that's why actually it's our mission statement, connecting building with intelligent building, connecting people with intelligent building solutions. So I guess it all comes down to our core value. And that's why, especially nowadays, we really try to, as you said, educate our community. And we do have a lot of webinars coming up, especially one starting tomorrow, which is the Smart Building Design Series. And yeah, so I guess it's just natural.
Well, and Kenny and I have been following you guys for a while, and both of us handle your product. So we've been on the outside before we handled your product, watching you guys sort of connect and grow. We both handle your products now, so we're on the inside a little bit. And the operative word here seems to be people. And when I say that, I mean, the people that work for your company really love working there. Maybe it gets back to just as simple as you guys are true to your mission statement, but being a Distech partner, we feel like we're treated as people. We feel like we're treated fairly. I think the community, the customers. I got to compliment you. Kenny and I both have had experiences of your guys' online training where our customers are just raving about the sort of the personal touch your instructors put on it. I mean, I guess there's a way to do a Zoom meeting, and then there's the Distech way to do a Zoom training or whatever. So you guys are just doing an awful lot right, and I want to acknowledge that, because being a person that benefits from your guys' care, your engineering, your vision, thank you.
Well, thank you. And you're right. Sam and the team is doing a fantastic job with the trainings, and just switching from in-person to virtual trainings. And they definitely took a step further in doing so.
Yeah, I think because a lot of folks, even though they're the leading vendors, they've gone kind of dormant. They haven't really, maintained or sustained interest in their products, their new that they're adding to their portfolio, how to use them better. I mean, it's interesting to compare vendor A, B, C, and D, and see who has basically the best success and the personal touches that they have and add to it. But to Eric's point about the training, what we thought was very beneficial was that you've integrated your training directly into your tech support center. So you can go in and have access to all this incredible, the projects, and have the, like a bibliography of incidents, so that you can look things up and whatever. I don't think that's been added to a training curriculum before. It's normally, this is what you get. It became, it's cut to, this much time, this many modules, you go through it, you test on it, and you move on. But I think so. To Eric's point, is that it's kind of a refreshing view. It's a more personable approach towards building automation. A lot of the vendors have this is our product, take it or leave it, or this is our square, and you can fit it into any circle you try. But they don't modify it, and they don't make it easier to use. So having an open standard is very, very important.
Well, Kenny, I get the feeling, Joel, I'd like to get your comment on this. I get the feeling, there's a statement that if you want to, you can either predict the future or you can invent it. And, and it seems like you guys fall a lot into the category of sort of, inventing it. I mean, you guys got very active with the COVID thing. You charted a course, you figured out what people were going to need, and you started executing on it. But is that, I mean, does Martin sit around and talk about, let's invent the future? And if so,
Yes.
we want to know what's, okay, good. We want to know what's next then. Since you guys are
okay. That's a good question. Okay, so yeah, you're right. There is always the next. So all the team is working very hard right now with what we call building intelligence, which will be the new platform. So you probably have heard about it. The marketing team did a very good job regarding to announce it. So we are working on that. There is a lot of good things to come. We think that it will be a new disruption in our industry. It's a big thing. It's a huge thing, and you will learn more. It's a little bit too early to discuss about it, but think about trying to make things faster. So the idea is really to get a job faster, to finish a job quicker, to have a real estate manager, I would say, that will have ready-to-use tools. to manage their property, and high satisfaction of occupants. So this is what we have in mind. And of course, as always, openness in order that to be able to include different advanced digital services which are available today, or perhaps even we don't know yet that they exist, but we will be able to communicate with them or host them.
But, you know, you're talking about, it all gets down to making your partners more profitable, making your owners more profitable. And, you know, and obviously you got the product and then you got the way to, for example, to commission the product, right? And you guys have put some thought into that. Can you talk about your sort of Eclipse commission?
Yeah, thank you very much for that. So we just released a new solution, which is called Eclipse Commissioning Solutions, which is a link between our Eclipse technology and the ECNet. And with that, we estimate, well, we can save up to 45 minutes by controllers, which means that imagine if you have, let's say, 200 VAV to commission or something like that, 45 minutes by VAV, it's a lot of time that we make.
Yes, it is. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. How do people find out more about that? Is that actually on the street or ready for prime time?
Yeah, so Laura Jane, I think you can say where we can find that.
Yeah, so you can find all the information on our website under the product section and software and apps. And also just follow us on social media. This is where we post all of the latest and greatest news about our products and everything coming up.
That's right.
And also reach out to the RSM. We have a great sales force here to answer all the questions.
Well, you do. And of course, I got to ask the question. I mean, who are your two favorite distributors? I mean, hint, one's in Atlanta and one's in Pittsburgh. I mean, you got some really great distributors, right?
We love all of
them. The best.
No, but, you know, Laura Jane, you know, again, I follow you guys on Instagram, for example. I mean, that's one place you guys are visible. Obviously, LinkedIn, you guys are, I guess, I think are on Twitter and Facebook as well, right?
Yes, we're everywhere, and also YouTube. So all the lives we do are usually on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So, yeah. Well,
very, very cool. All right. Well, there you go. And best website for people to track you guys down. We know social media, but let's just give them the home address so people can check you guys out.
Yeah, sure. So it's Distech Controls, Distech-controls.com.
Well, there you go. Easy enough. Laura Jane and Joel, thank you so much. And Joel, one last thing. You're out there in Colorado at Realcomm Ibicon. How is that going? What are you seeing out there? It's pretty much virtual, isn't it? Or
yeah, it's a good show. It's really a good show. So it's a new normal. So I think everything is learning because this is new. But very good contact, very good roundtable, good exchange.
Great.
And it's amazing to see all the community, which is trying to do their best to help return to building.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. We congratulate Jim Young, Howard Berger, and Lisa Woods and the team at Realcomm because they were just determined to be the frontier leader, and say we can do this. We can do this intelligently. We can do this safely. We can mitigate all the risk and still function. But what I did hear was you all had 20 inches of snow, and it's cold out there in Denver. Is that true?
That's a spring day for Joel and Laura.
That's true. Montreal, they're pretty hardy.
Yeah,
these guys will be out.
Montreal, it's okay.
Well, guys, and I know Jim and them appreciate you guys being out there too. And listen, we'd love to get you guys back as things progress. Please come back on the show and let's share with our community.
Thank you very
much. For us. Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Take care.
Take care. Stay safe. Bye.
Bye.
Well, Kenny, I just love what those folks have to say. Distech, just rocking and rolling. It seems like the culture works well for them. The people that you talk to work for Distech are really, really happy. And continue to make great products and not only that, create great markets. And I think, as I mentioned on the interview, as a distributor, one of the things that really is a value add from a vendor to distributors, anytime you're creating demand for a product that's being pulled through, that's a huge plus.
Sure is. You get some people are on an upswing and some people are on a downswing, but I think it's the consistency of their team play. In other words, everybody seems to be focused in the same direction and very positive and very customer centric. So they seem to say the right things all the time, but their products are what really are impressive. The Eclipse by Personify and those things we talked about. These are now very important in that COVID concept we were talking about previously. That all of a sudden, I mean, everything has got to be able to deal with the circumstances that are prevalent at that time and make the best of what leverage your network, your framework, your investments, and your controllers. They got to be smart and future-proof. And so when you hear somebody that's making all that available and on a consistent basis, you can see that there's no accident why they're being successful.
Well, yeah, and I think the new mantra becomes speak softly and speak French.
Well, a little bit.
So and make great products. So
yeah, Laura and Joelle did a fabulous job even on the interview here. You could see the energy and vibrations. It's very positive. When you get done talking to them, you don't feel like boy, I'm glad this conversation's over. But you think wow, I wonder what they're going to do next.
Yeah, that's a great question. I wonder what they're going to do next. Hey, I'm wondering what are we going to do next?
Well, we have a couple of posts that we are very happy to have posted, and we have not much on the horizon. We got the the holidays are coming quick. All
right, brother. Well, listen, I think we had a great show this week. Anything you want to talk about post-wise before we hop off?
No, again, we appreciate everybody still, we've been asked how we're going to handle our ControlTalk, or our Control Trends Awards. And, it's something we still are, we're turning and burning, and we watched, learned some stuff from Realcomm Ivicon did, what the opportunities are, but we're going to do the same thing that the AHR folks did. We're going to point at 2022, and we're going to come up with some kind of a novel version summary. No, but no, it's kind of I just it's such a weird world right now that I still can't get over it. We're getting ready for another shutdown, man. We just got in Germany. My wife's German, and she spoke with her relatives. They're going November 2nd. They're shutting down Germany. Boom, no in and no out. The only things that they're going to keep open are schools and daycare centers. Businesses are being encouraged to restrict any travel that's not absolutely life necessary, food, medical, whatever. Everybody else, they want to just stay in place for a while because of the incredible surge in COVID-19 cases.
Let me ask you something, dude. And I don't know. I mean, I might, and for our audience out there, I apologize if I'm sounding like an idiot, but you guys are probably used to it by now. How is it that, these professional athletes get it and 2 weeks later they're playing again, right? I mean, it's like, I get that it's bad for certain people, and I get that we need to be careful about it, but
Eric, I can't figure that. My wife and I we're mystified because, I mean, in other words, if you look at it from this perspective, it seems to be life or death, and it seems to be a very, very, we should have concern. And then if you look at it from this side and you see the statistics and you see the age groups that are affected by it and the pre-existing conditions they had, and then it makes sense that anything they would have gotten would have heightened or made it exacerbated their situation, whether it's, diabetes or breathing or whatever. And then they look at it from other different countries and whatever. So I think the whole point is that because we have the ability to amass these incredible statistics, we need to do something with it. How we process that data now, how we interpret it, and it's being interpreted economically, politically, socially, medically, and if you look at the different versions of it, there's agendas that people are playing into it. So it's not just the
well, I could have bought into that it was like politically motivated or whatever, but globally it just doesn't. I mean, because people, I mean, the Germans, for example, and no disrespect, I mean this as a compliment, but. You can't play the Germans for fools. The fact that they're closing, when you said that, I'm going, holy smokes, these are the most intelligent people on the earth. And, I mean, they don't mess around, right? So it's a mystery, Kenny. It's just, it's a real mystery.
I think this is to your point, again, when you rely on certain agencies and medical experts to be your advisors, and they're totally disconnected from the consequences, the economic consequences, and the other things. And they're just trying to give you the best answer for the question being asked at that time under the existing circumstances to consider and whatever, and what's available. Clearly the vaccine thing is what disappoints me. Of all the world's intelligence and all the money being spent, the billions and trillions of dollars, they still haven't come up with a vaccine. Now, I mean, that was something that, you know, they're probably not going to come up with a vaccine until they can come up with an economic model that they can sell it and make money on it. You know, and they're not going to give it away. These big chemical or pharmaceutical companies aren't going to be, you know, they're not going to open up their hearts and say, here, take our, you know, take our intelligentsia and our profits and give it away. They're going to find a way to make it that it's effective, that it's mass produced, mass disseminated, and mass paid for. So
yeah, well, no, but you bring up a great point, because it's different disciplines for different things, right? I mean, because obviously the business aspect, you got to have somebody who has a business acumen, you know, I mean, the science aspect of it, and, you know, and I mean, no disrespect in this regard at all. And I'm making a broad generalization, but, you know, as you know, I trade, you know, futures and options and stuff like that. Well, you know, scientists and mathematicians should be really good, but they suck at trading. It's because they can conceive every possible situation there is, and they don't do anything. Right? It's because you can't have all the answers. I think at a certain point in time, you have to, and I'm not advocating we don't listen to our scientists. I'm not saying that at all, but I'm saying that, you know, somebody made a statement that, you know, if the cure is worse than the disease, at what point do you sort of shift it around? And again, the fact that this is going on globally makes me believe that maybe there's some seriousness to that maybe as a general public, we're just not privy to, that the world leaders.
well, and I'm sure that, but you know, the point I was trying to make, and it kind of slipped away, was that this is probably the most global incident that allows us to track all our gizmos, all our everything that we were guessing and had theories about now are actually being worked out in reality. In other words, we're watching stuff go from this point to this point and measuring what's happening. And I think it's the very first time where we've had this kind of a you know, concentric or concentrated viewpoint on cause and effect.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, yeah. What I'm suggesting is maybe too much information is not a good thing, because I completely agree with you about the information. I think we got more data and more information, more statistics than we've ever had. And that was sort of my analogy about the traders. I mean, you get these mathematicians, because you can get collect all this
crippled,
data, and you just don't do anything, you know? And so at a certain point, you know, maybe it's just the signs of the time, and I don't mean to make light of it. I think it's a very
no, but to your point, that they just had a couple of school districts, a couple of things where out of nowhere a whole classroom is infected, or out of nowhere a whole dormitory is infected. You know, out of nowhere, you know, this happened. The Clemson quarterback got it. It's just because it becomes available, and now what are you going to do with it? What's the impact? What does that actually mean? You know, out of those college students that all got it, the whole dormitory, what was the analysis? How many of them were sick for how long? How many of them died? How many of them went into, you know,
our babysitter that babysits the kids from time, hey, you know, she's probably 22, whatever. And she and, you know, 4 or 5 of her friends went out. All 5 of them got it.
Yeah. How did
they all 5 got it. You know, she said for her, it was like, you know, she felt like she had a cold and she was over it in 3 days. I mean, she quarantined, obviously. But the worst of, I mean, none of them were that sick. I mean, it was, you know, the worst of it was like having the flu.
So when you look in terms of percentages and, you know, I think that anybody has any medical conditions or they're very vulnerable to it. And if they got it, it would be very detrimental. Pregnant women and stuff like that, you know, they should not go out as normal. They should be you know, shelter in place as much as possible and get the benefit of the doubt, you know, and then hopefully the vaccine.
What's this thing about herd immunity? You know anything about that?
Yeah, it's the you know, they said it with children, especially. That was the Germans, that, you know, the virologist said that there's I don't want to say it's a phenomenon, but if the whole group gets access or exposed to it at the same time, there'll be a greader you'll get over quicker, because
it can't go from
it's not magic.
Yeah.
The exposure time accelerates. Everybody gets it and gets out of it quicker than having to go from here, tag team here, tag team here, whatever. It happens all at once, and everybody.
Right. So, but the theory with that is that you couldn't get it more than once. Okay. So, you know, like I know my oldest daughter got it. She's got the antibody. So in theory, she can't get it again. So that would only work if you couldn't get it more than once. Right. Because
that's another thing that I don't know. I don't know that they're saying that you can't get it anymore once you get it. Anyhow,
no, they're having cases of people re-getting it. That's my point. So that would shoot the herd immunity out of. I kind of just, this is going to sound weird. I almost wish I could just get it and get over it. You know, I wish.
Well, you asked the question. I had to look it up. Herd immunity occurs when enough people become immune to a disease to make its spread unlikely. As a result, the entire community is protected, even those who are not themselves immune. Herd immunity is usually achieved through vaccination, but it can also occur through natural infection. So the way I understand it is that if everybody gets it or is exposed to it at the same time, it doesn't lessen the fact that everybody's going to get it and go through it, but what it lessens is the time that everybody's going to get it. So,
right.
So
well,
you know,
which gets to the point of why they did what they did earlier, because we didn't have the facilities to take care of the people. They thought everybody's going to be on a ventilator. They definitely had to curtail it then, but maybe now we're to the point where we go and have a COVID party or something, you know?
Well, you know, that was the whole concept. I mean, think about how many vaccines we've had where you get a little bit of it and then your body fights it hard and develops immunity to it, you know? Yeah. So I wish, I just don't want to see another shutdown. I don't think, you know, from my viewpoint, my selfish interests, you know, I want to be careful. I wear masks. I got masks everywhere. I got a mask in every coat, every, you know, car, glove compartment. I mean, I just got them everywhere. So, but I still, when I'm in a hurry, I'm talking until I get out of the car, I forget my mask. I got to run back to the car. I mean, it's driving me crazy.
Well, I do too. I think it's just basic good manners. And, you know, and the only people I get really aggravated with these people is my right not to wear a mask. You know, it kind of is and it kind of isn't. I mean, think all good manners, right? I mean, it's like you have to wear pants out in public or they throw your ass in jail, right? And so for me, it's just like whether they work or not, I mean, it's the best shot we got. And, you know, and like I said, you know, when I'm wearing a mask, I'm not protecting me, I'm protecting you and vice versa. But I almost punched this couple in the, I mean, you know, I'm in the grocery store and everybody's wearing a mask and these two people are walking around with a mask. And I just want to go up to them, what are you thinking? You know, out of everybody in this store, you look like you'd be the least healthy two people in here and you're not wearing a mask. Give me a break. All right, I got to stop on that, Kenny. We've been going.
Okay. So now you see why we have to enroll Eric in another sensitivity course, because he was getting so good. He was right there at the finish line. All of a sudden, he does his U-turn and says something like that.
Well, Kenny, you know, Kenny, I tell you what, we got to keep it at least a little entertaining. And if I've offended anybody out there, I apologize. And if you want me to retract my statements, just send us an email and make comments, like us, subscribe to us, and then ask me to retract my statements, and I'll do it on next week's show.
There you go. Look at that. You made lemon out of lemonade. I mean, lemonade out of lemons.
There you go, brother. Well, hey, listen, man, that's another week on Control Talk, now your smart buildings video cast and podcast. Special thanks to our friends at Distech Controls for all the stuff they shared with us. Remember, be bold, stay in control. Have a great week. Don't be like me. Try not to offend anybody. And remember, be bold, stay in control, and be relevant. Eric. And be relevant. That's it.
All right. Yeah. Indeed, Eric.
Indeed, Kenny. Right. Yeah, we're kind of that's okay. All right, man.